10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, welcome to the Rising Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Gordon. Very excited about today's episode. Before we jump into it, today's episode is brought to you by Lucio Sports. Our partners at Lucio Sports do everything to help integrate technology into your coaching staff and your team. I don't know if you guys saw it. The NCAA is now allowing technology in huddles, which the NBA, of course, has been doing for a few years. And the days of like scribbling crazy lines on a whiteboard in a timeout are over. Now you can whip out your iPad and through Lucio Sports and through their app, they have animated play diagrams. So you hit play and you can get through a play animation. You can get through about 4 or 5 in a 30-second timeout. The numbers they've collected, they've got several NBA teams using it. The numbers they've collected on their ATO efficiency is off the charts. So make sure you guys check out our friends, luciosports.com. Also, very excited about our conference. It's coming up in a couple days in Phoenix. We'll be out there June 17th through the 18th. We'll be at State Farm Stadium. I can't wait. We've got an unbelievable lineup of speakers. I'm so excited just to get like back in person and around people. So if you can make it out there, you still got a couple days to book a flight, sign up. All the info is at risingcoaches.com. If not, you can purchase a live stream for $15 and see all the great speakers that'll be out there. Again, all the info, all the speaker lineup and everything you need to know is at our website, risingcoaches.com. Okay. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, I want to bring in our guest today. Very excited to have Lindsey Harding of the Sacramento Kings with us today. Lindsey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So are you in Sacramento right now? I know it's the off season for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, we really don't have an off season. Not really, because you still have guys that have to get better. But yeah, I'm in Sacramento.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So like, what does this time of year look like for you? Are you working guys out? Are you doing like draft prep type stuff? What is a typical day?
I think all of the above. Right now, I actually just got back from a workout. We have a lot of guys, a lot of our young guys that are in town. Some went on a little vacation right after the season, but they're in town. We're, working them out. They're doing a lot of strength training, agilities, speed work. They're doing a lot of things to get better, because this is the time for them to really get better, especially the first, second, third year guys. So that's a huge focus right now. And we also have draft workouts where we're bringing in other guys that we're looking at, in the draft. So 2 separate type of workouts going on at times. But it's still kind of a busy part of the season, but no games, that helps. No game scouts, so that helps. But a few hours a day, get in the gym, work them out, and then you can have the rest of your day.
Do you enjoy this time? Is it like cool to just get back to like working out, working on your craft, and like get back to like what you love without the stress? Obviously you love to compete, but there's something about this time of year, right?
It is. It's this still is an off time. So if there are things you need to do or want to do, you can. But I think this is the exciting part, because this is where your young guys get better. Like, this is where they actually have 100% of the focus on them. Because during the season, we're focusing on everyone, but like the team and games and what's going on and making sure certain players are ready to go, where now it's like 100% focus is on you. And it's not just us as a staff. We have our front office that are watching these practices, head coach that are there that are watching these workouts. And a lot of them are individual workouts, one player, a few coaches, and we're just like working on them individually. And then today they played a little bit, so they scrimmaged, which is something they love to do. But it's a great part of the season.
Do you get out there with them and play at all?
Right now, no. I mean, during your workouts, you're on the court, so you are playing with them and going. But when they're like going 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 full court, I can say this with everything. I retired at the best time, at the correct time. I didn't retire too early, didn't retire too late. I got all the games out of me. It's funny when you see a lot of these guys, especially younger coaches that are like, hey, let's go play. I'm like, I've done all my games. My knees are good, ankles are good, hips. By the time you like step away it's been like 2017, 16 WNBA, 17 overseas. That's far enough away to where if I try to do an explosive move, I don't want to get hurt. So when I play, instead of like 0 to 100, I may go 0 to 70 because I'm not trying to get hurt. You see it all the time. So I have nothing to prove there. I think I've done that. But for me, it's great watching them and great when you get a lot, the younger guys out there playing. Yeah,
well, perfect segue. Let's talk a little bit about your playing career. You were a Hall of Famer at Duke, all ACC, first overall pick in the WNBA draft. What was it like? And then in 2000, obviously, I just kind of referenced it, but 2018, you were inducted into the Duke Hall of Fame. What was that like? Pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't. When I got to Duke, that's not what I expected. That wasn't really the plan. I wasn't a McDonald's All-American. I wasn't a Nike All-American. I didn't get any of those, accolades. I didn't play in any of those games. I felt that I was overlooked a lot in high school. I also started playing later than most, so I get that. But
how old were you, Lindsey, when you started playing?
Like 13-ish.
Okay. Did you play other sports when you were younger, or you just?
I did. See, for me, I was a track runner. I wanted to be like FloJo. That was my idol. I wanted to run track. I got recruited for track as well, and mainly focused on basketball. But I didn't. Track was it. I did everything. I did gymnastics. I did soccer. But I loved basketball, and I stuck with it. And obviously it worked out, but. Had a great career at Duke. I loved it. Every moment, every experience, learned so much during those times and those years. And, you just don't know what's going to happen. You just plan on being the best you that you can be. And regardless of me getting a Player of the Year or Hall of Fame, that would have been enough for me. But I felt lucky as well to get that, because I think you have, a lot of stars have to align as well. You have to be healthy. And, I feel blessed to have done that. So it is great when I go back to Cameron, I see, my jersey retired. I see that I'm in the Hall of Fame. It's something that I didn't even dream of. It was bigger than that. So I definitely am honored to have that, and something I'm very proud of.
I know you were a point guard and probably an extension of the coach on the floor. Did you know you wanted to coach, even during your playing career, or did it just?
Oh God,
really?
No. My college coach, Gail Gaston, course, told me before, you'd be a great coach one day. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way in hell I'm doing that. I'm not coaching me. I'm not coaching anybody. But then. As years kind of went on, and I actually had an opportunity to be an assistant coach for Summer League for the Toronto Raptors. I think I was in my 5th year playing in the WNBA at that time, and it was a great experience. I just kind of stepped in. I was an assistant, the only woman I believe there. No, Becky Hammond was there. I think that was her first year being in San Antonio. And I was like, after it was over, I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And it was such a first great experience for me of coaching and, being a woman within the NBA, that I was like, you know what, maybe when I retire, I will go towards the NBA and see what doors open up. So from that moment, I was starting to kind of focus on, I can kind of coach, or maybe front office, I don't know, but towards the NBA. But then as years went on and on, as I was getting more and more experience, I was like, okay, so let me see where this coaching goes.
So when was that? That was did you say 2015 in Toronto?
So that had to have been around 2013 maybe, I believe.
So you still had 4 or 5 years left.
I had years to go. Yeah, that I just happened to have maybe 14 maybe. But I happened to have an opportunity to do that during a time. Say again?
Sorry. I was just going to say, like, how did that opportunity present itself? Was it a Duke person or?
I'm someone that if you know me, they'll say that I've never met a stranger. So one thing I've realized when you're playing, when you're doing something, that's when people want to meet you. And I took that and ran with it. So I spent a lot of time at different NBA All-Star events, and I met everybody, talked to everybody. And I met this agent at the time. His name is Warren Legary. He also was part of the start of Summer League. And I told him that I wanted to, at the time, there were no women in the NBA at that time. And I was like, oh, I want to coach in the NBA. And I didn't say it jokingly. I didn't say it, I just went up to him and said, hey, I heard that you're the guy I'm supposed to meet. My name is Lindsey Harding. I'm playing the WNBA, but I want to coach in the NBA. And he looked at me serious, and he's like, shook my hand, gave me his card, and we just kind of kept in touch. And out of the blue one day, I feel like it was a year later, he said, hey, I may have an opportunity for you if you want to try this. And I tried it. It was great, and I've stuck with it. So you just never know who you meet, and you never know. There's a lot of people that talk all the time. There's a lot of people that say, oh, great, I'll help you, whatever. There's a very few people who are willing to actually step out there and do that. And you have to learn the difference when you meet people, when you have conversations and see people, because there's a lot of smoke. People like to just put it out there. But, I was lucky enough to meet someone who was serious about it and took the chance.
Yeah, well, and that's like hard for people it's hard for some people just to like have that social interaction and go up to a stranger and introduce himself, but let alone like Warren Legary, who's, like you said, like legendary NBA agent. And he's like an intimidating, like he can be an intimidating guy in general. Has that always been like you, like just your personality since you were like a kid? Or have you like had to teach yourself how to like put yourself out there?
I think, for one, I was really confident in who I was and what I was doing. And you either like it or you don't. It doesn't make it right or wrong. I mean, really, who are you? So it's like you either like it or don't. But I honestly, and I've learned this more now that I'm older and being a woman in this industry, women, we tend to question ourselves far more than men do. It's like we're conditioned to. We're already thinking of what if, worried about this. Is he going to think I'm joking if I come up to him? Is he not going to take me seriously? Is he not going to think a woman can do this? All of those issues and those worries would have been his issue, not mine. So, men don't worry about that stuff. They come straight up, say what they want, yes or no, and then they go back and get a drink later, no problem. So it's like, that's something that I had to kind of like tell myself. I was going to do it. I knew I was going to do it, but I had to tell myself, I'm like, if I'm going to step in this arena, I can't act like men don't do it. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, but I hear what you're saying, but you have to, because how do they know, how will you ever get an opportunity if they know you don't exist, if you don't exist to them? Like they don't even know who you are. So why would you even get that opportunity? So you have to present yourself and put yourself out there and let them know, and they can take it or leave it. But at least you did something, I always want to at least say I did something, and as opposed to just regretting like, I should have. I mean, there's been times that I said, man, I wish I would have went over there, like, and then you could have had a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I love it. It's his problem, not yours. That's great.
It is. I mean, if all those were, it's true. All those, we always go to like worst case scenario, like, right. We are our worst enemies. We go straight to negativity when it's like, it's us, our mind can kill you. So get out of that. And if those were an issue, that's not my issue. That's his issue.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay. I want to go back to like what you mentioned, like you went up, you worked with the Raptors, and you like, it sounded like I could just tell the way you like said it, like you loved it. Like was there anything specific about it that you loved, or was it just the overall experience? Like what was it that grabbed you about coaching?
I think the first part of it is where I was in my career. First off, summer league. If summer league, it's usually your first or second year guys, your really young guys, and then a whole bunch of guys who are just trying to make it in the NBA, right? So coming there, I knew that I had done everything that these guys want to do, could do, or possibly will do, but I've already done it. So I came in with that level of confidence, and they looked at me as, dang, you were the number one pick. Dang, you played in the WNBA. You did this, you did that. The respect was automatically there. So they, came and asked questions. I think that was the best part of it, is as I'm watching and as I'm learning from other coaches, other head coaches here, they're coming to me asking questions, and I can relate to them as a player at that time, as a player of like, man, I really know what you're going through, what you're thinking, what you're whatever. So I think that part of the connection was something I loved, the people connection, seeing a guy work extremely hard, not on a contract, and at the end of it, they sign a contract to be on an NBA team, and you saw the start to the end is like and it's a beautiful feeling for them of seeing like, wow, like this is amazing, So I love that part of it. Of course, I like to win. I like to compete. I'm a competitor, so you want to compete to win. But like the human connection, watching people grow, like you're a teacher, finding new ways to teach something, to not keep it boring, have practices exciting. It's those are things that I really do enjoy about coaching.
Okay. So do you keep doing that your whole like WNBA career? Like every summer you work in the summer league, or is that just 1 year?
No, well, every summer we're playing in the WNBA.
Right.
I just happened to have that time off. I was doing something and I had to take that time off, and I just, filled it in with that. But no, I only did it that one time. I didn't go back to summer league until like actually working in summer league until I was working, in the NBA. But that I connected with a lot of people there. I mean, you coach, but big part of that summer league is that when I was not coaching or scouting, I was walking around that arena, meeting as many people as I could. It's kind of like I said before, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like they don't know to hire you or even interview you if they don't know you exist. So a big part of it. And I was worn out, like so tired, like head hit the pillow, went to sleep, because every day you're just like talking, shaking hands, and just like introducing yourself so people just know you exist.
Right. Were you getting like, as you mentioned, this was whatever, 2012, whenever it was, Becky Hammond might have been the only other woman coaching at that time in the league. Were you getting like sideways looks or things like that? Was there jealousy, or was everyone pretty like, open and respected what you were doing? Or you didn't care? It was their problem, right?
Well, no, I always say I'm allergic to ignorance, so that's their issue. I'm sure there's always haters everywhere you go. This is a hard business to get into. It's tough. It is so hard. And now, like, if you go back to a lot of issues, it was at one point it was hard for minorities. Now they're in. Now you want to add women? Now we're going to make it even harder to add women. So of course there are people, I'm sure. I can say that in certain situations, I might have met a couple of people that I was really excited and honored to meet that weren't so excited to meet me, because still for some, it might be a boys club, but majority, it's been great. The majority has been, open, ready, willing, and ready to teach. But a lot of it is just kind of respect, because when you think about it, you're just talking flat out sexist, like, because majority of these coaches have not done anything close to what I've done on the court, period. So it's not that. If it's just the fact that I'm a woman, now we're talking about something way more serious. And again, what am I going to say? That's your problem. Like, that's not my problem. So when you kind of like dial it all the way down, you really get to see who people are. I mean, like I said, as a whole, it's been amazing. And I've been surrounded by so many supportive men who treat me like everyone else, because it's basketball. They expect me to do my work. They expect me to give great advice. They expect me to teach and coach and do my job well, just like everybody else.
Awesome. Okay, so you decide to hang up the shoes 2017, and how do you like transition from your playing career to coaching? Or you did scouting first, right?
Well, I took a 4-month vacation. I just didn't do anything. I was like, I'm going to vacation. Is this what a vacation is? Because WNBA and overseas, you're just like back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
I was just like, I did nothing. But in the middle of all that, I was like, okay, I have to get a job. Like, I have to find a job. I have to figure it out. And I went to NBA. So I called Warren. I would like to go to Summer League just to kind of connect. And I went there. And while I was there, I connected with Bethany Donovan, who now works for the WNBA in the league office. At the time, she was with the NBA. She told me about a program that they were on their second year for former players in the NBA and WNBA. It's called Basketball Operations Associates Program. And what it was is, if you got that position, there would be 2 men, 2 women. You would work within basketball operations, do rotations within the department, and then hopefully through that get a job with the team. So I applied for it, interviewed, ended up getting that job, moved to New York City, worked in the league office for a year. And while I was there, of course, I was going to Summer League. I was going to G League Showcase, which is another event, and trying to connect. And I got a call from the 76ers for an interview to be a scout. And I thought that was a great opportunity to get my foot in the door, to learn from the outside, really how the teams are played, really who the players were, who the coaches were, who the front office people are. And that's kind of how I started, my NBA before I became a coach. It was, I just want to get my foot in the door and I want to see where it goes. And so at that time, I was the only female scout. Other females that worked in the office would go out and scout, but actual title, I was a pro personnel scout.
Did you, the scout life is way different, right, than coaching? Like, you're on the road, it sounds like 20, 25 days a month.
A lot.
And you're not with your team, right? Like, your job is to scout. Did you enjoy that, or was it like, get me back on the court?
I actually enjoyed more the schedule part of it, as far as, they give you a list of players, you have to see them a certain amount of times, write reports, you make your own schedule. So I actually like that part of it, because one of the first times in my life, I have a job, but I can create a schedule. I actually could go to my family's wedding. I actually could go do these things as long as I got my work done. So I enjoyed that part of it. I knew that I didn't want to do it like some people love to do it. So that's their job. That's what they want to do. I didn't want to do it long term, but at the time, I think it was perfect for me.
And how did that lead to the next? How did that lead to the coaching jobs?
So from there, the 76ers were looking to get another player development coach. And I was asked about it. I was living in Philadelphia. I was living in Philadelphia at the time, even though I was traveling everywhere scouting, and kind of went through the process and was hired as a coach. So I left. It was kind of a joke. They're like, you're leaving us in the office to go to the court. So I left to go straight to coaching player development, and that player development, that's exactly what you do. Your focus is on certain players that you're working with, and your job is to develop them. And, obviously you come up with plans and you're really organized and structured on how you do that, but you have them one-on-one on the court, and you are working them on their skill and then their full development.
And how long were you in that role with Philly?
So I was in that role. It's interesting. I scouted until a full season, until about February, March, end of trade deadline. And they moved me straight to player development. And then I stayed player development because, again, player development is a whole job. It's a whole year, pretty much. So I was working player development, and at the time was on the front of the bench as an assistant coach for our summer league team, until I got a call from the Sacramento Kings to interview for an assistant coach job here. So that's kind of how, again, when you're there, you just never know.
Yeah.
And one of the assistant coaches for the Sacramento Kings was the head coach of that. Well, he wasn't the head coach. He was their G League head coach, but he was part of that coaching staff of that Toronto Raptors team that I had first did at that time, like 7 years ago. So it was still a connection of someone that I knew and met through. And even though that was 7-8 years ago, still kind of remembered me. And we had a long conversation, and which got me the interview for Sacramento.
Yeah. The coaching world is very small, right?
Very small.
Okay. What's like the key to like player development to you? Like, and what are some mistakes you see people making out there, or you know, what are the things you try to focus on? Of course, it varies, right? Per
Yeah.
player.
I say respect is number one. The players have to have your respect. Now, a lot of people think just because they have coach in front of their name, that means that respect is automatically there, or they think it should be. Obviously, like not nowadays, especially not even for like these young guys. Sometimes, I mean, you should always be respectful, but as a whole, you know, some people say they demand respect, but I think there's a fine line between that and like earning it. So I think I always try to approach it in a way of like earning that respect. Now, I'm lucky to have had the history and experience that I had as a player, because they do approach me a little bit differently. So I'm able to have that, but I take time to really know who my players are as people, what makes them tick, what do they like to do when they're not playing basketball, about their family, to truly say that you are investing in them. Like, I am really taking my time because I believe in you and want you to do well, as opposed to so focused on my job and where I'm going to go. I think that can get in the way. So I try to put all my focus on them as the player and let them know that I really do care, because once you have that and that trust, you can say anything and do anything and they will listen to you. And that's part of it, you know, especially at this level, is really getting the guys to believe and trust in you and do it. You can get the best drills on YouTube right now. We can all do the same stuff, but it's who's going to really get them to do it a certain way and believe in you and do it right every time, or at least try. And so I think having that connection with players is number one. Is so important. And all that trust, like your knowledge, all of that, like, you know what you're doing, that all comes into that. But that's something that when I first meet someone, I try to start kind of peeling the onion, you know, and also being vulnerable in my own way, so we can kind of open up here, because this is a relationship. This isn't just, I'm your coach right now, we're done. Like, this is I'm invested in you now and until we're old and rocking chairs, if you ever want to call me and need something. Like, that's how I want to be for my players. That's how the best coaches I've been coached by have been for me. And that's what I want to do for all of these young men.
Yeah, that's great. What about like basketball wise, like on the court? Give me like favorite warm up or something you like to do to build confidence, or to kind of gauge where they're at. Is there anything you can give me basketball wise? Not that I want to get all your secrets, but
no, it's funny because, you know, before they come out, if I'm warmed up enough, I'll do this little kind of warm up where, say they're at the free throw line, just as soon as they walk out, they haven't shot the ball, I'll have the ball and I'll like throw it somewhere. Nowhere far, but far enough, a little inside the 3-point line where they can take 2 dribbles. And I said, you know, you have 2 dribbles, you have to make a shot, right? And I'm going to defend you. Now, it's not, you know, you're you're in them, it's not like 100%, but because you slowly want to build them up and warm them up. But it's first to 5. Now, if they miss it, I get a point. They make it, they get a point. And so you're just throwing the ball at random places and they have to get it. So while you're doing it, you're talking a lot of trash. Like, how much are they paying you? Like, you're talking all kind of trash, slapping the ball. Like, I foul. I tell them I foul. So like, look, I'm 5'8", you better score. And it's like a time of where like they're competing. They want to talk trash back, but they're having fun. And we're like kind of like warming up. So I'll do that for two dribbles. So they'll get the ball and they're just like, jabbing, and I'm in them, just like slapping them, hitting it, and they just take 1 or 2 dribbles. And the whole point is for them to either finish at the rim or just do nice little pull-ups. And once they raise up, you kind of let them shoot it, but it's just like getting them ready. Then I'll throw the ball a little shorter for, you only get 1 dribble. Same thing, same rules apply. Then I drop it till you have no dribble. So you're putting the ball really close, maybe under the basket, and you're just on them to get their balance so they can like jab you off with their, you can't throw it, but like little bit off and finish. It's trying to spin around you and finish. Little post moves where you like maybe fake left, fade away, just little moves around the basket, again to 5. You'd be surprised how many times I win, because I was like, look, I play defense. They bring the ball here, I slap at it, and and like I told you, part of it makes it fun is because you talk trash to them the whole time. These guys like to talk trash, and when you start giving it right back to them, and they start scoring on you too, it kind of starts. They start scoring on me. My fouls will get a little bit harder, but it's just a nice little warm up, and then right after that, we'll go into. Maybe it's just like some shots like movement shots to warm them up, but I'll do that sometimes when it's like. It's just a change up of where I'll just mess with them. But, so that's something that they kind of like to do.
Do you always just go one-on-one, like with your workouts, or do you sometimes get like 2 guys at a time, 3?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how many guys, what we're trying to do, what the plan is. Sometimes it's just, we need to work on it's the NBA, right? We like to create mismatches. What's the point of creating the mismatch if you can't raise over somebody or shoot, or you can't make a move to get past somebody, or you can't, what's the point? So sometimes it's one-on-one. We're working on individual moves, individual skill work, your footwork, not just taking, cut here, open, make a shot. It's the NBA. You better make an open shot. I'm talking about with someone, now we created that mismatch and someone's guarding you in your face. How are you going to get us a bucket right here? How are you going to do it? So sometimes it's really working on those type moves. Sometimes when we, if those are certain shots we're working out of an offense, we'll kind of simulate something. Sometimes we'll add 2, 3, 4 people, and sometimes we'll just have a whole bunch of coaches come in. So it depends on what we're trying to do or what we're trying to get out of those kind of drills. And sometimes it may be just defense. And to me, the best way to get better defensively is playing one-on-one. That's, to me, just the best way to do it. Can't rely on help. Can't rely on anybody. You have to just rely on you being enough to make someone take a really tough shot. And if they make it, make them make that tough shot all night. I can't be mad at you. So I try to, as much as possible, sometimes when we finish and we have different guys at different baskets working out, bring them together and say, hey, we're playing ones, just in certain positions. Could start at the block and do really, like they get the ball and you just have to defend that. Could start 10 feet out, could start at the 3, and it's like a closeout, and you just have to close out and really like defend with 5 seconds. So there's a lot of different things, but I try to add a lot of competition in it because I want them to play for something. If you're shooting, I want you to shoot for something. We're just not out here just like, make 100. Okay, make 100, but how many can you miss? Even if it's something as simple as that.
Awesome. You guys seem like you got young players, you got a youngish staff. Like, do you guys have a lot of fun with that? Of course, you're going to win.
Yeah. I was going to tell Alvin Gentry, one of our coaches, that you said that he was extremely young. He's going to be happy because he always says he's the old guy.
Well, I said youngish.
No, I mean, you do have fun. We're young. You have fun. It's like sometimes you look around at what you're doing and you're like, my job is a game. My job has always been a ball, playing with the ball has been my job. So it's amazing and it's fun, but it's so much more fun when you win. It's, we've had times where, we were winning, and with a young team, you go like this. And then when we were going like this, it is awful. It's just not fun. And then when we start going up again, I remember looking at our head coach, Luke Walton, and I said, God dang, this is fun. And he's like, this is so much more fun when you're winning. So, you want to hold on tight to those. But that's what happens when you have a young team. It's just that inconsistency, and you're trying to keep them on the up, or at least going, that way. So, again, more fun when you win.
Yeah, no question. Luke Walton seems like he's got a great sense of humor. And do you guys still get the, if you're in LA, do they do the Luke chant for him?
I think they did. I think they did. We actually won in LA, so I don't think they were happy about that part of it. But yeah, no, he's great. He comes in with his energy, and he wants to have fun too. I mean, he's a player, He comes from that, that perspective. So he wants to have fun. He's serious about his job. Of course, he demands things, but I do like that part of it. And he's a guy who he doesn't, even if you're a video guy, if you have something to say, he wants to hear it. And not a lot of coaches are like that.
Does Bill hang around practice ever?
He came to some games, and I think practice last year. It's been hard because of COVID.
Right.
But he did come, before. So, we'll see what happens this next season.
So no Bill Walton stories at this point.
No, I see him a lot on TV though. I said, man, I was watching your dad. He had boxing gloves on, during a game. He was punching the other guy on thing, and he just shakes his head. He just shakes his head.
Yeah, right. That's fine. What is the biggest piece of advice, Lindsey, you could give to somebody that's trying to advance in the profession, no matter how long they've been in it, whether they're trying to just get their foot in the door, they've been in it a while. What have you found to be the biggest lesson you've learned?
I think the biggest lesson is the one thing you said, is that the basketball world is a small world, and you need to know the people in the world. You need to know the people in this business. So it's really taking the time to meet people and introduce yourself to people. And sometimes, I've done it before, you might have to introduce yourself 2, 3, 4 times before they kind of remember. So sometimes it really is just making a lasting impression on someone when you just meet them and tell them who you are, what you do, what you're interested in doing, whatever, and then staying in touch with them. Even if it's hey, I saw you guys had a great win, blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Good luck the rest of the season. Connecting with people is huge, because in the end, if you look at any head coach, whether it's college, whether it's professional, whether it's whatever, when you get those opportunities, it's not, everyone wants those jobs. They're not easy jobs. I don't care at what level, to be a head coach somewhere. And people tend to hire people that they know and that they're comfortable with, because they got a big opportunity. They don't want to blow it either. So they're going to hire who they're kind of comfortable with. And that's kind of where you fall into. Can you get into that? Can you get into that to where you meet people enough to where they will give you an opportunity? So for one, I tell people, meet people. Just meet as many people as you can in the business, around the business. Media, they know everybody. They tend to know everybody, and who knows what, and who could be fired and who doesn't, and who's looking to hire. They just know people. So even having a relationship and knowing some people in the media, and them being aware of who you are and maybe become fans of you, you never know who they may drop your name to. It really is a who knows who basis when it comes to that. Working on your craft, knowing, just staying on top of what's going on as a coach. What kind of coach would you want to be, or style? Just really understanding and keeping up. Don't always coach college or think of college and say, I'm just going to go to the NBA, and really have no idea how the NBA is really being played, and systems, and how important the analytics is, and what we're really looking for. Just really have an idea of either way, even if you're pro and you say, hey, I want to go to college, understand what's going on at the college level, how are the games being played, just understand what's really happening if you're going to, make that switch before you go into something. But those are, it could be a lot, but those are kind of things. But again, if you want to move up, you have to be very clear about what you want. You can't be shy about it. Who cares? If you are a high school coach right now and say, I want to be a head coach in the NBA, then you say, I want to be a head coach in the NBA. And if anyone thinks that's a joke or laugh or think it's whatever, some of these head coaches in the NBA were in the video room or were high school coaches. And I'm sure someone laughed at them too. And they are where they are. So, I just tell people whatever it is that you want to do, if people laugh about it, then those aren't the ones that are going to help you. You need to find people who will take it seriously and you can learn from, and that can help you on your way. But sometimes it may just take someone you're friends with that you've been working with, and all of a sudden they got a big break and they brought you up to have an opportunity. Sometimes it could be that easy too. So, keep the dream alive, be open and able to say what it is you want to do and let people know you exist. I can tell you one quick story. The G League GM, Tori Miller, she's the first female G League GM. She wanted to be a GM, and her story was she used to send scouting reports, player personnel reports to, at that time, the G League GM for free. She would just email it to him over and over and over for I believe it was some years, until he hired her. And years later, she is now a G League GM. And that is how she got her way in. Her name is Tori Miller. It was an amazing story when I was told that. So we all kind of find our way in.
I love it. Well, Lindsey, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. Very excited to watch where your career goes, and you have a new fan.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks, Lindsey.
Thank you.